Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the story of STON.fi. It's a really cool journey. We'll look at how they tackled one of DeFi's biggest headaches, then built a bridge to bring real-world stocks on-chain, and finally, started handing the keys over to the community. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's start with the problem that, if you've spent any time in DeFi, you've definitely felt this one. You're ready to make a trade, you hit that swap button, and the price you end up with is just not great. Or worse, the trade just fails completely. So why does that happen? Well, it usually comes down to one singular, really frustrating issue.
And that is the exact problem Stone.fi was built to solve from day one. It's an issue called fragmentation. And honestly, it's like a hidden tax that affects pretty much every trader in DeFi. To really get why Stone.fi's solution is such a big deal, we first have to understand just how deep this problem really goes.
So what's the official name for this mess? It's called fragmented liquidity. The best way to think about it is to imagine you have a dozen different little markets all selling the exact same thing, but none of them are talking to each other. That's kind of what DeFi can be like. All the tokens and the money available to trade them, it's all spread out across these separate, isolated exchanges on the same network. It just creates these inefficient little islands of capital. And for you, the user, this isn't just some abstract concept. It has very real consequences. It means you get worse prices on your swaps because no single place has enough liquidity. It means you suffer from high slippage, where the price changes between when you click and when your trade actually goes through. And yeah, in the worst cases, it just leads to failed trades and you missing out on an opportunity altogether. It's a bad experience.
So, how do you fix a problem like that? How do you fix fragmentation? Well, you build something that unifies everything. And Omniston.fi's answer to this is a really powerful piece of tech called the Omniston Engine, which is designed to pull all those isolated pools of money together.
Think about it like this. It's basically a kayak or a Google Flights for your crypto trades, right? You don't go to every single airline's website one by one to find the best deal. You use one tool that scans all of them at once and gives you the cheapest, most efficient route. A liquidity aggregator does exactly that for your tokens. It scours the whole network to find the absolute best path for your trade in an instant. And from your perspective, the whole process is incredibly simple. You just put in a request for a swap. Then, behind the scenes, Omniston is going to work, scanning prices from all the public decentralized exchanges and even tapping into private market makers. And finally, it just locks in and executes the single best route it finds. It basically unifies the entire market just to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table. But here's the thing, unifying all the public markets, that was just step one. The next major leap was to go beyond that, creating a whole new way to trade that could tap into even deeper pools of money. This is where Stone.fi introduced something called escrow swaps, and this was a real game changer. This is where things get really cool. See, standard routing just kind of hops between public pools trying to find a path. But escrow swaps, they do something completely different. They're able to tap into private, off-market liquidity. Think of it like the wholesale market that big funds use. This lets you do direct, super efficient swaps from one asset to another. And it often means you get much, much better prices, especially if you're trading larger amounts. Okay, so once you have this incredibly powerful and flexible liquidity engine in place, what can you build on top of it? Well, Stone.fi went for something truly groundbreaking, building a bridge between the world of crypto and the traditional financial world. And this is the result, X stocks. These are basically tokenized versions of real-world stocks and ETFs, and they're fully backed by the actual securities. So AAPLX is a token that represents a share of Apple. SPYX tracks the S&P 500. And the best part? They all live right there on the TON blockchain, in your own wallet that you control. Now, why does this matter? Well, it's huge. You can get exposure to the traditional economy without ever leaving DeFi. You don't need a broker, there's no paperwork, and there are no market hours. You can literally trade from some brand new meme token into an S&P 500 ETF at 3 in the morning on a Sunday if you really want to. The access is just incredible. And what this does is it totally changes how you can think about building a portfolio on-chain. You can almost see it in 3 buckets. You've got your high-risk, high-reward crypto-native stuff. You've got your stable, cash-like assets for safety. And now you have X stocks sitting right in the middle, acting as this amazing diversifying layer that connects your portfolio to the real economy and helps smooth things out. So we've got the powerful liquidity engine, and we've got a product that breaks new ground. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
Well, it's about decentralizing control and putting the community in the driver's seat. And that's where the STONI DAO comes in. The way this works is actually pretty brilliant. Users can take their Stone tokens and lock them up in a staking contract. When they do that, they get two brand new assets in return. And these two assets are what represent their stake in the protocol's future. One gives them governance power, and the other gives them community rewards. This two-token system is really clever. When you stake your STON, you get two things. First, you get an Arkanston. Think of this as your non-transferable voting badge. It proves you're a long-term stakeholder. Then you also get Gemston. That's a liquid token that the community can use for things like grants, new incentives, whatever the DAO decides. It very neatly separates your voting power from your rewards.
All right, let's pull all of these threads together for our final section and see how this all connects to the long-term vision for what StoneFi is trying to become. And honestly, you just have to look at the token distribution to see that they're serious about this community-owned future. A full 50%, half of all Stone tokens are set aside for initiatives that the DAO governs. That's the treasury, incentives, marketing, operations, all of it. This puts the community firmly in control of the protocol's resources and its future direction.
And look, this isn't just some idea they came up with later on. It's a foundational principle, written right into the project's white paper from the start. The whole goal has been to empower stakeholders to shape the future together, to evolve from just being a project into being a true public good.
So what have we seen? We've seen Stone.fi's journey from fixing a fundamental problem with liquidity to building a bridge to real-world assets, and finally, to putting its own users in charge. It's a pretty clear path toward a more open, user-owned financial system, and that really leaves us with one big final thought. When the people who use the tools are the exact same people who get to decide what to build next, what becomes possible then?